Everyone. Thank you for joining us today for our fourth and last week of our Business Sense Bootcamp. My name is Tony Tang. I am the project director for the San Jose Minority Business Development Agency. We are here with our president of Asian Inc., Lamar Haystack, and David Betancourt from Comerica Bank, which is a great supporter of Asian Inc. and our mission. Lamar, would you like to say hello to everybody on the call, on our conversation today?
Sure. Thanks so much, Tony. Again, my name is Lamar Haystack, president of Asian Inc. We proudly operate the Minority Business Development Agency Center here in the San Francisco Bay Area. Also operate a project in the Central Valley and work very closely with Comerica. And we're thankful for the conversation that we're having here. Thankful to have Comerica on board and thankful to be able to share some information with you. Thanks for joining us this morning.
David, good morning.
Yeah,
good afternoon,
Thank you, Tony. Good afternoon, and thank you, everybody. So my name is David Betancourt. I'm the External Affairs Market Manager for Southern California for Comerica Bank. And, you know, really, we are really appreciative of the work that Lamar and Tony are doing with these boot camps. It helps us deliver on our promise of giving back to the communities we serve. And you know, we just want to make sure that we're raising expectations of what it means to be a financial institution. So as it relates to the pandemic, you know, so far we have committed a total of $8 million to COVID-19 relief efforts, which includes a variety of different types of investments. And this program being one of those examples of, you know, things that we're doing in the community, getting our hands dirty and really providing hands-on technical assistance training. So again, we're really proud to support Asian Inc. And thank you again, Lamar and Tony, for the great work you're doing.
Thank you, David. Thank you for all the kind words. Now, once again, I want to thank for our attendees to joining us today for our Business Sense Bootcamp. Today, our conversation is around taking control of your small business reputation and what are they saying about you. So next slide, please, Lamar. So before I start, a little bit of some housekeeping. If you feel free, if you have any questions in between our conversation, to just type into the Q&A box, and we will try to answer your questions as soon as we can.
And folks can also email us at bizsensebootcamp@asianinc.org if you feel more comfortable sending us an email there too.
Thank you. Next slide, please. So why do we want to monitor our online reputation? As business owners, we spend so much time and effort and come up with a really good strategy to help build our company reputation, right? But everything could be gone in just a second. You know, one bad review, one Karen comes in, right? So it could totally change your whole company reputation within minutes. Next slide, please, Lamar. So again, a little bit more fact on why we should monitor a business. Negativity spreads like wildfire. Content, let me see. Any content, negative or positive, can definitely impact how people see your business. Survey shows 83% of consumers says online reviews influence the perception of about the companies, and 80% report that any negative online comments change their purchasing decisions.
I would say, Tony, on reputation, we all have a reputation. You have a reputation. I have one. David has one. As people, Tony, your reputation is as a snappy dresser. Everyone knows you are. But I think people who say they don't have a reputation are probably not thinking very closely, because everyone knows who we are. We know each other. So to the extent that people know who you are, right, I think there's a reputation. So so it's mindful. I think your point is to understand what people are saying and to take control of that.
Right. And that's why I always do my hair. You know, when I come on these webinars, I have to keep my snappiness. So, hey, talking about questions, Lamar, we have one coming from a guest. Can I pay Yelp to delete my bad reviews?
That's a very good question. You know, this presentation, we were joking with saying that that would probably come up because it's, when you think of reviews and you think of places to go to read reviews, you think of obviously Yelp, Google, places like that. And Yelp has been in the news about what it can do to help enhance a business reputation or a business, you know, what people say or know about your business. So I would say keep tuning into the rest of this presentation. There are probably things that you can do to enhance your reputation. Now Yelp's position is you don't pay them to delete content. Yelp says that they don't take money to basically take what bad things people might be saying or not so positive things and then putting that somewhere else. But there are other things you can do. Yelp will take control of anything that is defamatory or outright false, if you can prove that it's defamatory or false. But in terms of bad reviews, there are lots of other things you could do to bury or to eliminate those and to enhance a positive reputation without paying anyone for that. So we'd like to go into that in our presentation.
Lamar, I think we have a video around that actually to address parts of that.
Top reputation management firm will focus on information services as the key in managing and controlling a person or company's online presence. They look to optimize what is positive about you, pushing down negative remarks solely within the field of social media. Repair Bad Reputation believes success is found by taking an integrated, multi-level media approach using both traditional online tools and non-traditional offline tools. Repair Bad Reputation creates new bios and executes a strategy aimed at reshaping the public's understanding of your character. Here at RepairBadReputation.com, we will outline 9 steps that can save you money on costly reputation management firms. We incorporate some of what these firms thrive on, but believe online reputation management is only one level media approach using both traditional online tools and non-traditional offline tools. Repair Bad Reputation creates new bios and executes a strategy aimed at reshaping the public's understanding of your character. Here at RepairBadReputation.com, we will outline 9 steps that can save you money on costly reputation management firms. We incorporate some of what these firms thrive on, but believe online reputation management is only 1/3 of the battle. Here are some free simple steps that a person or corporation can take when combating negative perception. 1. Adapt. Not everyone on the internet writing bad reviews is a disgruntled employee or competitor. Some may have legitimate concerns about your business or your behavior. As opposed to combating these reviews, actively acknowledge these concerns head on and assess within the company if their concerns are legitimate. Make the necessary changes in how you do business. Consider it an opportunity to take constructive suggestions and adapt to the needs of your clientele or brand. Then invite those individuals back with complaints into the dialogue to show them how you have changed. Oftentimes, the people you believe to be your critic can in fact be your best advocate. 2. If competitors or disgruntled employees are attacking you out of spite and these suggestions are being made without good faith, contact the website's admins and ask them to review the remarks and take off negative comments. Remember, the law is usually on your side of the websites that contain negative statements, so do not threaten with lawsuits. Rather, reach out to an appropriate web administrator in a respectful fashion and either remove or respond to the damaging statements. 3. Stay educated about what is being said about you. Now, I suggest using Google Alerts. With Google Alerts, you can put in keywords, your company's name, website, or personal name. Add your email address and decide how often you want your reviews sent to you. Now, I would suggest starting twice per week. Main thing, stay informed. 4. Change the conversation. This is the big step that top online reputation management companies normally do not take. Perhaps the most important thing is to re-own your name by presenting a balanced, humane, and compassionate portrayal of your positive qualities. Focus on information which will reform the positive aspects of your image. Do this through bios, bloggers, chat rooms, and citizen journalists. 5. Create targeted press releases designed to reach the clientele most likely to be interested in your story. Once you focus on the positive qualities, think about the markets that are interested in your story. If your passion is for recycling, it may not be worthwhile to contact media outlets that are writing about sports. Know your market and reach out to media within your specialty. 6. There are over 300 social media sites. You need to do more than Facebook and Twitter. Bookmark the other social media sites and grow out the sites that have successful media presence. Stick to your key messaging. Use similar photos, bios, and other information. Do not put pictures of you on keg stands in your fraternity. Create sites that are professional only. 7. Do some research on social media websites. Some sites that you may not know about are most likely to show up on the front page of search engines. For instance, in most cases, Vimeo has a stronger presence on search engines than YouTube. Build a personal blog on WordPress. It ranks higher than all other blogs, including sites like Tumblr and Blogger. I would suggest Zerply. Brand yourself. Weebly, Formspring, About.me, and Quora, just to name a few. Know the sites that rank highest and expand your social media. 8. Guest blogging. Reach out to similar companies likely to target your market and share your expertise within your field. Cross-link from those sites and emphasize the need to share the information you have to new markets. 9.
You're still muted, Lamar.
How about now?
There you go.
Yeah, one of the things, Tony, I would suggest people do is to Google yourself. And that means not doing it from your computer. That means maybe going to someone else's computer or asking someone else to do it for you, because you need to really know what is being said. And everyone has something being said about them, good, bad, or indifferent. And it's, I hate to say it, but Google is kind of like high school, where people are saying things about everyone all the time. And I feel like you can't know what your reputation is until you can actually figure that out from someone else's perspective. So that means asking, either a friend or someone who's not associated with your business to actually do the search and just Google the terms that are associated with your business, or Google your name and see what comes up, because those are things that do come up, and people use that information to make choices about who they do business with.
Now, I have a question here coming up saying, now, with all these negativity online, what is the pros of having these online accounts in general? Why not just keep themselves off these social medias? Why not keep themselves off, Yelp? If all these things are saying about them that could negatively impact them.
I mean, well, I think this is a different world. I mean, maybe 20 years ago, you could have gotten away with just word of mouth and not relying on the internet or being at the mercy of the internet. But I think it's just we're in a different age here. Everyone is looking at their phones to figure out, for instance, yesterday I was trying to figure out where to get some auto body work done. And,
right.
You go online and you look for that, either that or you ask people personally, call them up or whatever. But it's you're denying an aspect of the reality of business by not taking control of what is being said or knowing what is being said. So as much as we'd like to say, well, yeah, I think my reputation should be based more on this rather than that, in this day and age, you can't really discount that part of this business atmosphere of today, the third decade of the 21st century. That's how people make choices. That's how people decide who to do business with. That's how people are deciding who to get married to online. So I think it's just a fact of life, if you will. I don't know if there's any, like what David thinks about that, but I mean, the
No,
banks, when they do make loans to, I'm sure that there's probably a look at the website to look at, how a business is presented online.
No, I think you're right on the spot, Lamont. I mean, we're in a digital era. Social media is not going anywhere, and like you said, that's one of the first places customers will check to find out about your business, to find out if they want to do business with you, to find out. Even now, they want to find out, what are your operation hours? Are you even open right now? If you're a restaurant, are you providing outdoor seating, or what is it? Especially right now, social media is crucial because that's how you can keep your customers updated and stay connected with them. Even though we all have to be socially distant and there's a lot of different regulations in place, but social media is key with staying connected with your customers.
So, but anyway, I thought, Tony, maybe I could run through a guide or a way to approach your online reputation management and think about doing this without spending a great deal of money. So I don't know if now's a good time to do that.
Yeah, this is a perfect time to go for it.
Okay, so let me run through a scenario for you. You own a small auto shop, say in Worcester, Massachusetts. Now, we're not in Massachusetts, but let's just say we are on the other side of the country, and things are going well, but you can't shake the feeling that you could be growing faster. So, referral marketing, people referring folks to you, isn't bringing as much business as it used to, and you don't have the time or resources to run a commercial on local TV. So what do? Well, you decide maybe it's time to get serious about digital marketing and to get a high level sense of where you currently stand. Your auto body shop in Worcester, Massachusetts, you do a quick Google search for your shop's name. But this is what you see, much to your chagrin. You find on this search, the results are for these three. And this is unfortunately a list of your three biggest competitors, and their names are featured prominently on the page. They're also making it very easy for folks to get to them. They're trying to reach their prospects, which happen to be your prospects too. So there's website, directions, phone number, okay? Now this is not an ideal situation. So the good news is that this is a problem that you can fix. And so with online reputation management, you can turn platforms like Google, Facebook, and Yelp into revenue generators. So taking a look more deeply, online reputation management, what we can call ORM, is the practice of improving the perception of your business in the eyes of potential customers. And to break that down further, online reputation management involves two things. It involves, one, identifying the online resources that potential customers may use to learn more about your business, and two, taking steps to ensure those resources cast your business in a positive light. Now, if a potential customer does a Google search for your business and finds nothing but information about competitors, it's unlikely that they'll perceive you in a positive light, right? So let's take a look. Okay, so if you look like this, if you look like Phil's Auto Repair, like Phil's Auto Repair does in Worcester, Massachusetts, if you look like this, this could make you look trustworthy. You have at the top of the results, you have your web page, phils-autorepair.com, you have a Yelp page, you have a BBB, Better Business Bureau profile, right? So as you might expect, the goal of online reputation management is to grow your customer base and increase your revenue. So as you might not expect, it doesn't need to be expensive, okay? If you're savvy, you'll be able to manage your online reputation without breaking the bank. So we're gonna talk about a few things. We're gonna talk about search engine optimization. You may have heard of that, SEO, Google My Business, Facebook, and that includes Facebook Messenger and Yelp, as we talked about earlier. Now, in terms of search engine optimization, when someone searches for your business on Google, and frankly, most people are using Google. I mean, Tony, do you use Yahoo or Bing? Where do you go to search for people?
Google.
Tony, Google. Maybe David goes to like Well, David's too young to remember Alta Vista or Lycos or web crawler. Too young to remember that. But I'm old enough to remember we didn't have the internet in high school and in college. But anyway, so you want to use the top, I mean, people use the top results. I mean, you know, you present 10 results on a page, you have to scroll to the next page to get to results 11 to 20, that kind of thing. So you want to own the top results. Own. Now, when you use the word own, it's literally you own them like it's yours. Owned media. It's an umbrella term that encompasses all of the online properties to which you have ownership, meaning you can control the content. In the case of a small business, we're talking about two things majorly. So one, of course, the website, and two, the social media profiles. Now, the video talked about it being besides Facebook and Twitter. There are other places people are looking at, and the video is a little bit dated because then it might have mentioned Instagram or things like that. So I'm not, Tony, are you active on Instagram? Are you?
No.
Doing all your little filters?
See, the thing is,
Are we too old? We're too old.
I feel too old to be on that. That's why Instagram.
I'm active on Instagram.
Because there's.
See, here's a bit of an age difference. Yeah, or I never really got into Snapchat. I don't really.
No, I think Instagram is a good platform to use because Instagram is more about the visuals. So you can take lots of pictures. You can still put a caption, and it's kind of like that go-to social media app right now, especially for the younger demographic. So it's either between Yelp, or if they want to learn more and they want to get more opinions, then they'll go to Instagram and they'll check out that business's page.
Fair enough.
I wouldn't disagree with that, but I tried going on Instagram and they had this challenge and I almost broke my back trying to do one of these dance challenges, so I had to quit.
Oh my goodness. No, Tony, don't do any dancing on Instagram for us. Okay, now let's talk about the website. Okay, so it's one of the main things that you can actually own. It's the foundation of your online reputation and your digital marketing strategy. Okay, so getting your website at the top of the search results, that means somewhat engaging in search engine optimization. So to have a website is great, but to have it not be right at the top of the list is another thing. So SEO is about optimizing your website in order to make it as visible as possible in the search engine results. So let's take a look here. Okay, first things first, okay? Making sure your website is indexed. Now, in this particular case, as in the previous one, you Google the sushi place and they come up right to the top, okay? And you would love for your business to be at the top if you're looking for sushi in Worcester, Massachusetts, you would want your business to be there at the top. So making sure your website is indexed, that means making sure Google has stored your website in its digital library. Now to check, you go to Google Search Console, so you can Google Search Console and log in with the Google account associated with your business. Now you don't have to have a Gmail account to have a Google account. You can register your email address to become associated with a Google account. So or you may already have a Google account. But anyway, when you go to Google Search Console, you would click Add Property, select Website, and then enter the exact URL for your business's homepage. Now, it could be, in this case, www.babasushi.com, right? You'll need to verify your ownership of the website. You can do that through your domain provider, or if you use Google Analytics. We'll talk a little bit about that. Now, once you've verified the ownership of the website and your Search Console account is ready, then you would select URL inspection and then enter the URL for the website's homepage in the search bar. Okay, so once you've verified your ownership, you can inspect the URL and make sure that the URL is properly captured on Google. If your homepage, in this case, babasushi.com, it would be indexed, you will get a graphic, something like this, that the URL is on Google. It can appear in Google search results if it is not subject to a manual action or removal request. Okay, so, for our organization, asianinc.org, it's indexed, it's on Google. If you Google Asian Inc., it will be the first one. You will see it at the top. It is indexed. Now, if you find that the Search Console says your homepage is not indexed, you need to request indexing. There's a link, the lower right-hand corner of that screenshot here. It says request indexing. So if I can use the pointer, it's right here, request indexing, okay? As once you've submitted your request, you can expect your homepage to be indexed within a day or so. So this is free. This doesn't cost any money. It's something that you can do today. You can do it right after this. You could be doing it right now. Who knows? Now, if your website is small and the number of web pages is low, so you don't have a very big website, you can actually repeat this process for each page. So let's say it's babasushi.com/menu, right? Or babasushi.com/locations, right? You can, we recommend using the Search Console to submit what's called a site map. Now this looks very scary. It's simply a roadmap of the website's pages. It basically lists the composition of your website. There's a number of different pages that your website can contain. It's not technically necessary, but it makes it easier for Google to find your web pages and add them to the index. You can actually build a site map manually, or you can you can actually Google build site map, and there will be plenty of third-party tools that you can use and attach to your website to build a site map, okay? So again, this is an example of a site map. You don't know how to you don't necessarily have to know how to do this, but there are tools online that can help you develop that. Now, when we're talking about an online, small business reputation management, this is very important. So we don't even want to talk about Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that until you've actually gotten to this point to actually get your website to appear at the top of the list and to have Google recognize it as an index page. Now, the goal is to simply own the top results, okay? So let's think about, there are a lot of people actually, and maybe Tony and David are experienced here too, people will email you, like, I can get you to the top of Google. I get that a lot. I get that because I administer for Asian Inc., a lot of the web resources, so I get a lot of that mail. So one of the questions that came in here is, what should I do if someone says they can do it for me? Well, I mean, you could pay someone to do it, but I would actually encourage you to spend a little bit of your own time to learn how to do some of it, if not all of it, at least some of it on your own. There are people who will sell you on Google Ads. There are people who will sell you on all of that. But some of these basic things of optimizing your webpage, you don't have to pay somebody in this country or out of this country to do that. Google wants you to have index pages. They want you to be part of the ecosystem. They want you to be part of the ecosystem so that eventually you can maybe buy ads. And that's not, we're not talking about buying ads. We're talking just about owned media at this point. So let's move on at this point. Quick note about social media profiles. You'd like to have them appear close to the top of the results, but your control on, say, for us, it would be Asian Inc. Well, it'd be facebook.com/Asian Inc. SF or twitter.com/Asian Inc. You can follow us there. It's not, your control is not as high, right? So even though Facebook, your Facebook page is your owned media, you develop it, you have control of it. It's really, you don't really own it the way that Facebook owns it. It's their real estate, if you will. So what you can do is link to each of your social media websites in the footer of your website's homepage. So if you put it inside the bottom of your website, it will tell Google that you support or endorse those pages, and then the endorsement will actually help rank them better when people call you up. Okay, so that is very helpful, especially with Asian Inc., right? Asian Inc. is a very generic name, maybe. So if you put Asian Inc., how are you going to get those, our social media profiles to come to the top? We embed them in our homepage. Now, remember when we shared the screenshot at the beginning of the introduction? We'll go back to that here. Let's see if I can do that real quick. So we looked at this one here. The 3 competitors to your hypothetical auto repair shop. Now, the common thread across these small businesses is that they're all using, in this case, they're all using Google My Business. It's a free tool that allows you to connect with potential customers in the Google search results and on Google Maps. To create your profile, which again costs nothing, simply head to the Google My Business website, click on Manage Now, and start entering your business's information. Okay, make sure your name, your address, and your phone number, they're all accurate. Now, in this day and age, you know, the phone number is especially critical, and sometimes these phones connect to, you know, landlines that don't go to where they really need to go. Now, in this case, if an auto repair shop is open, you would expect that the phone at the auto repair shop is actually ringing and someone's there to pick it up. But in our experience, Tony and David, like, you know, you may be calling people who are in professional services, and you call the number on Google for that business and they're not picking up because it's a landline that doesn't actually make it to someone's cell phone somewhere else. So that's something to pay attention to. Now, too many small business owners submit the minimum amount of information and leave it at that. So, well, you know, if you do that, will that like destroy your business? Of course not, but it will lead to a number of missed opportunities. So if you want to get the most out of Google My Business, and if you're serious about managing your online reputation, then you have to do a little bit more work. Okay, so when you optimize your Google My Business profile, again, you just Google My Business. Keep this in mind. There's no such thing as too much information. And at the end of the day, you're trying to give your potential customers the most complete and positive picture of your business. So you should provide hours of operation, products and services you serve, a high-level description of your business, the business categories, some attributes based on those categories. So sometimes, like if you, in this particular case, if you do auto repair, you might want to mention that you specialize in domestic cars like Ford, GM, or whatever your specialties are. So those are the kind of attributes you might want to do. So if you Google, you know, Ford auto repair or Ford auto body, then your result is likely to appear. You should have photos and videos that document your business, your atmosphere, your team, your customers, and a link to, if you're able to take appointments, a link to book appointments. So if you want to get an oil change, you know, you'd get that opportunity to book an appointment online. And then links to your social media are also appropriate. Now, I remember Google used to do Google Plus, but no one's using Google Plus because it doesn't exist anymore. But you could do Google, you could do Facebook or Twitter or the other platforms. Now, in this particular case, you've learned a lot about this salon, right? You can see the reviews, you can see the address, you can see the business hours, you can see where they list products and services, where you can make an appointment, have a phone number. You can click on a button to take you to the website, get directions, or you can save the business for later. So, so without scrolling, you've learned a lot. And you've probably noticed that Google My Business profiles include a feature that has a pretty strong influence on how your business is perceived. This right here, customer reviews, Google reviews. Now, when a customer navigates to your profile, they have the option of writing a review and scoring your business on a 5-star scale. So we're familiar with the 5-star scale. A lot of other sites use that too. Now, one of the most important aspects of online reputation management is encouraging your customers to write Google reviews. Why? Because, well, you know, as you were talking about, Tony, earlier in the presentation, you know, people trust those reviews and like they trust traditional recommendations. It's amazing how much we put trust into people we don't know, like people whose names and faces are not familiar to us. But it's like when you decide to eat at a restaurant that has 4 stars or 4.5 stars, you'll automatically go to the one with 4.5 stars. Even though for me, I'm thinking not just about ratings, but price, right? Maybe the 4.5 star restaurant is twice as expensive. I don't know. But if you can just get a small portion of your client base to submit positive reviews, you know, you're not really paying them. I'm paying you to leave a review. You'll see some businesses say, if you leave us a review, you'll get like a 10% off thing. Like, you're not telling them what kind of review to leave. You're just telling them to leave one. So if someone left a bad review, I guess you would give them a 10% off too. But if you do it ethically, not buying reviews, then your Google My Business profile will actually become a very large generator of foot traffic. And so according to the same study I was talking about, 97% of consumers who read online reviews also read businesses' responses to online reviews. So not just, you know, not just the review itself, but actually what you have to say about it. And sometimes silence speaks volumes too. So if you don't say anything to what is being said about you, then people automatically, or, you know, instinctively they think, oh, well, then the business must agree with it, or they must not disagree. So it's important, good, bad, or somewhere in between. A key part of online reputation management is responding to each and every review in a thoughtful manner. And so 1/3 of customers will judge you based on whether or not you actually respond. And that's kind of, you think of like online reputation management as like a political campaign. So I have a little bit of a political background. It's like if your quote opponent or supporters of your opponent say something about you, but you don't say anything back, well, that could be taken into account as to how you are assessed as a candidate. So to sum it up, Google plays the fundamental role in online reputation management. As you can see, we're not talking about Yahoo. I guess you could do similar things with Yahoo and with Bing and with other search engines, but we're talking here about Google. And as long as the owned media is at the top of the search results, then you will be in good shape. Okay. Now, we will also talk briefly about Facebook and Facebook Messenger. Google is not the only resource where potential customers are they're using to learn about your business. You can actually, you know, over half of some people, as surveyed recently, there was a survey done of 1,800 consumers, and over half of them, 52%, said that they discovered new businesses on Facebook. And actually, I'll tell you a story real quick. I was in bed, must have been a Monday morning or something like that. And I was just looking, you know how you do when you pick up your phone and you scroll through whatever there is on social media. And I saw a report done in Sacramento on the news of an Asian American business that was brewing its own beer and selling it. And I said, you know what? I don't drink beer as much. I'm not a big beer drinker. But in this day and age and in this current period, I'm inclined to support Asian American businesses, because that's really what Asian Inc. is about, is supporting not just minority business, but especially Asian American owned businesses. So right then and there, I was on Facebook, and I wanted to support this business because an Asian Inc. is having an event later on this year, not going to be in person, but we're going to be giving things away to people. And I said, you know what, let me support this business. So I learned about it on Facebook, never met the owner, never stepped into the restaurant, never stepped foot into the brewery, but I bought 20 cases of beer off of the business right on Facebook, because I wanted to support a business that had a really good, and they actually did deliver the beer. I haven't drunk any of the beer, but it's at our offices, and one day we'll drink it and enjoy it together. But anyway, talking about Facebook, you know, whether or not you capitalize on the opportunity to use Facebook depends on how much effort you're willing to put into your Facebook page, right? So head over to Facebook's Page Creation Center and take care of some basic things: name, category, address, phone number, profile picture, okay, like your logo. Then submit a cover photo. So in this particular case, Connor's Gourmet Potatoes doesn't have a profile picture, doesn't have a cover photo, but it's like, those are things they're basic things you can do. Look at how much space it takes on the screen. I'm not going to show you my Facebook page personally, but I guess I could show you Asian Inc.'s Facebook page, right? So if I come out of here and you go to Facebook, let's see what we got going here. Some of this stuff here that I never look at, but then you go to, oh, here's Asian Inc. here. Just as an example. It may not be loading very quickly because I have not so good internet.
So Lamar, while that load, I have a comment from one of our attendees. Comment is, I think Messenger may not be secure for client communications. What do you think?
Oh, well, we don't encourage using Messenger to transmit detailed client information. So an example is Asian Inc. is, we deal with the financials of not just the clients in small business, but also in first-time home buying, sustainable home ownership. So we are not using Messenger to transmit files, even though they do have the feature of transmitting files. You can actually do a lot with, transact some business in Facebook Messenger, but we're not giving credit cards information. We're not doing any of that on Facebook Messenger, but we are using Facebook Messenger to communicate with folks who are seeking our services. But I would say, yes, it's not the most secure platform for sharing detailed information. But in this particular case, this is my view on my end because I'm an admin of our Facebook page. But you will see, we thought very carefully about the cover page. In this particular situation, we have a couple of elected officials. We have some board. This is our board of directors. So we think that's very important to share with people. And then we have a cover picture, of course. So these are just basic things, right? I'm not saying anything that you guys don't already know about how to conduct a social media page, right? But going back to this presentation, let's see if we can get there. Okay. Once you've submitted your basic information and your 2 photos, so your cover photo and your profile photo, you basically have free reign, and Facebook doesn't tell you that you have to tell your visitors anything, really. But obviously, if you're committed to making sure your online reputation is optimized, then you will provide as much information as you can. Now, what you can do is there's a button that says Edit Page Info. You click on that. You click on the left-hand side labeled Templates and Tabs, and go ahead and change your page template from Standard to Business. And then there's a bunch of tabs that are presented to page visitors, which would be much more suitable because of your particular page. Now, you can visit Templates and Tabs and change the order of your tabs whenever you'd like. There are certain things, like for Asian Inc., we have Donate as a tab, right? But if you're like Connor's Gourmet Potatoes, you may not be asking for donations. But you need to write a brief description of your business. So you're limited actually to 255 characters. This is 25 fewer than if you were to write a tweet. You have to make every word count. I personally recommend that you talk about your products and services as opposed to the story, because not everyone buys based on a story. Some people do, like I buy on a story, but if you're looking for potatoes, then you probably want to hear potatoes instead of Connor's particular story. So if you search weight training on Facebook, for instance, and the top results are nearby gyms that offer personal training services. So no matter what you sell, you want to be the top results when users search for things related to your business. So people aren't searching for a great story of immigration or perseverance. They're looking for potatoes, or they're looking for gyms or whatever they're looking for. Now, properly categorizing your business also helps you attract relevant users. So make sure you categorize yourself in multiple ways to account for different people using different search terms, right? So, restaurant, cafe, bakery, eatery. In the case of a bar, they may be looking for pub, brew houses, things like that. Now, submit a link to your website and an email address where visitors can reach you, okay? So you provided the phone number, the physical address. Physical address will not be as important in this current environment because people are not going out to physical locations, but nevertheless, you put one to tell folks where you are, so to speak, and specify the neighborhood, cities, and regions you serve. Now, you can list others besides where you're located. So for instance, Asian Inc. says, and we've indicated we serve a radius that covers the entire greater San Francisco Bay Area and Central Valley. So that's pretty important. Then indicate the expensiveness of your products or services. Now, Asian Inc. doesn't charge for most products or services that it provides, so we're very inexpensive. But some people will like to go to a place with more dollar signs because they think it's classier, right? So now you've taken a look at editing your page here on Facebook. You've uploaded plenty of photos, Google My Business. You've encouraged customer reviews. In fact, if you know people are satisfied with your business, then it's okay to actually ask them to say, would you mind putting up a review? I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. It's kind of like when you're running a campaign and you say, oh, can you, like the other day I was asked by someone, can you write a quote and endorse me as a candidate? I said, sure, I'll do that. And so maybe if someone reads my endorsement, they may say, oh, I don't really care what Lamar has to say about that, but maybe someone might. So now you want to cast the business obviously in a positive light, and you don't want to do it like for all hours of the day, but you do want to have something in place to be able to address the opportunities at all hours of the day. So, are there things that can be done? Now, it's not like you would just like skip sleep and just not get rest, but what you could do is you could bolster your business's page and your reputation with a Facebook Messenger chatbot. So this is where Facebook Messenger comes in. And this is an example here where people provide some kind of input, and then there could be an automated response. Now, nothing really replaces talking with a real, actual live human being, but this could be an opportunity for you to engage someone who may be up at that hour, who may want to figure something out. I mean, it's like how a lot of the big companies deliver customer service and how they deliver troubleshooting and things like that. But it may be a way for you to capture someone where you're not actually physically awake to do so. Now, a messenger chatbot is exactly what it sounds like. It's a piece of software that uses artificial intelligence to converse with Facebook users. So it's a piece of software that can relieve you of your customer service duties while you're busy doing something else, like sleeping, right? Now, it doesn't erase human interaction altogether, but it's something that you can do to maximize those 8 hours where you're not able to, especially if it's a business where it may span time zones, and you don't have someone when, West Coast, it's 9 o'clock in the morning, and then it's noon on the East Coast, or if it's 5 o'clock on the West Coast and it's 8 o'clock on the East Coast. So that kind of thing. I think it's very helpful. There are some free bot building programs, and you can just Google for that. Okay. Now, Yelp. We did want to talk a little bit about Yelp. Your own media is consistently at the top of the search results. You've jam-packed your Google My Business profile, your Facebook page. Now, let's take a look at Yelp. Yelp is an online platform that connects customers with local businesses. Much like Facebook and Google My Business, it allows you to provide basic information and allows customers to voice their honest opinions. And here's an example of a glowing Yelp review. Okay. Now, considering the similarities between Yelp and the platforms we've discussed, you may be wondering why we've bothered to include it in this guide. But here's why: because Yelp is visited by more than 175 million unique visitors every single month. So that's a big chunk of the human population. And if you neglect to create a profile, the prospects who search for your business will give their money to your competitors without thinking. So getting your business on Yelp is free and easy. And search for Yelp for Business website, Yelp for Business, and click on Manage My Free Listing. You can do this for free, the same way that Google offers you the opportunity to maintain your listing for free. We're not going to walk you through this creation process here, but you should provide as much information as you can. So people don't just look for restaurants, they look for restaurants where it's okay to bring kids. I have 2 kids, so I'm looking for places where I can have kids with me at the restaurant. You know, you're looking for all these other things too. So make sure that this information, you have as much of this information as possible. Now, do consumers go to Google My Business to read reviews? They do. Do they go to Facebook? Yes, for that same reason. But there is one place they really do look at these reviews, and it is, you know, at Yelp. And let's try not to pretend that they don't, right? So the simplest way to get more Yelp reviews is to drop a link wherever you can in your email signature, your website footer, social media bios, and so on. And you shouldn't explicitly say, now write a review about us on Yelp, but instead, you know, direct your customers to your Yelp profile and let them make their own choices and decisions. Now, this will not only lead to customers writing reviews, but it also lead to more prospects reading reviews. So to the extent that you want people to write, you should want them to read them as well. And it's crucial you're vigilant about your reviews. Especially the negative ones. Now we kind of led this off with how you deal with negative reviews. There are things you can do to address false, outright defamatory reviews, and Yelp will fix those. But we're not recommending at this time that you necessarily pay for such services, and some services will actually bury them and not explicitly delete reviews. And I'm talking about services outside of Yelp, outside of Google, outside of Facebook. But we recommend that this process be used to elevate your online reputation in a positive way. And if you can do these things together, you know, this has been a lengthy kind of overview, but it's really just scratched the surface. Now, if it's just me, when I first encountered the term reputation management, if I say the term reputation management, it sounds expensive, it sounds complicated. But I would say that the first impression of reputation management is misguided. And if I were to take the words expensive and complicated, you want something, you could pay for people to do it professionally, but there are things that you can do on your own, using Google, using Facebook, using Yelp. And so this is just scratching the surface. And I don't know if we have any other questions, but I think if every business did this, they would be on equal footing, and there would be a much richer environment in which to make consumer choices and business choices. As we try to get out of COVID-19, we're still in the thick of it now. People will start to spend more money again. Yeah. Like that day that people will spend again will come. And as people are doing more of that spending currently online, they're going to be making those business choices online. So if you think you're a business that, you know, I don't need to say anything about myself online, I just rely on foot traffic. Well, guess what? The foot traffic is not there right now. Right. So there have to be things that you do before the world opens up again. So I'll leave it at that.
Now, look,
and Tony, I don't know if you have anything else that you wanted to talk about.
I have questions. There was a late attendee coming in and just caught your last part of your SEO conversation. This attendee wants to know, will we be offering a workshop around SEO or ORM, or will this content be sent out to the attendees?
We'll edit the part where I couldn't get the screen share to work with the audio to stream, but yes, we'll send that out. We're putting all of these on our YouTube page. Mm-hmm. So if you Google Asian Inc. and you see our page, you'll see our YouTube page, of course, because that's part of the Google family is YouTube. And we will host the Comerica Small Business Bootcamp series there. And we'll get probably many more people to view than are viewing today. So the answer is yes. And we will probably do something on SEO, like specifically, because none of us are experts, but there are people who, and I don't want it to be something where people have to buy, because I think that's where you bring someone in and then they're trying to sell you something, and I don't want to try to sell people anything, but I do want people to get more educated.
Awesome.
Okay. So I would leave it at that for now, and I would defer to David with Comerica, or Tony, our project director, to say any last words here while we have a couple of minutes?
No, I would just say, I think this was a really, really valuable presentation. I mean, not only did you go over the importance and the strategy of why having an online presence is important, but you actually showed us how to do it, right? Which is like something that, you don't really get that type of expertise unless you meet with somebody one-on-one, or, you have somebody that knows what they're doing, or you just figure it out yourself. So, thank you, Lamar and Tony, again. I think this was a really, really valuable presentation, and thank you for your partnership with the whole series. As we look forward and we try to see, what the new normal is going to look like, and, when we're going to finally get out of this, I think, trainings like this are extremely valuable and beneficial to the community. So I look forward to continue working with you both. And, hopefully we can continue providing more value, more trainings for months to come, years to come down the road. So thank you.
Thank you, David.
Thank you to David. Thank you to Tony. Tony's leadership of our small business work in the greater San Francisco Bay Area is very much on, and it continues. We are still assisting folks with the Paycheck Protection Program loan applications. If you do have questions, please email them to bizsensebootcamp@asianinc.org. You can give us a call as well, 415-928-5910. That's 415-928-5910. And we will take your questions and your requests for help in English, of course, but also Cantonese, Mandarin, Vietnamese, and Spanish. So we're happy to help you and continue working with you to make your current and post COVID-19 existence a successful one. We want everyone to kind of get out of this crisis intact and stronger, and it will take time. So we're with you for the long haul. Thank you.
Thank you.